Hi and welcome to this short setup guide to help make your practice more comfortable. I'm Juliana. So a couple of house rules and also a little bit of kind of an introduction to what you may need to make your practice more nourishing. So house rule number one is just an ask really to practice with a little bit of compassion and maybe even a little bit of humour in this digital setup. Obviously this isn't a super sleek studio, which means that occasionally there might be like some sound interruptions, the light in the room might vary, the sound of my voice might change depending on whether I'm looking to or away from the camera, and I'm sometimes not alone in the house. My husband's usually kind of banging around somewhere, so if there are some external sounds, then I do apologise in advance, but I think it just kind of makes the setup kind of a little bit more real because, let's face it, we're all kind of in this together. So that's kind of house rule number one. And house rule number two is applying that same kindness and that same compassion to yourself in your practice. So I can't see you, even though some of you may choose to have your cameras on. When we are in the class, I am demoing as we're going along so that you can follow the practice, and I'm also talking to allow you to follow the practice if you don't want to look at the screen or you don't need to look at the screen. Which means I'm not paying attention to the screen as I'm teaching. So please always assume that I cannot see you, and that means really giving yourself the opportunity to listen to your body, to be kind and compassionate to your body, and only really practice things that serve you. So treating everything that I say as I teach with a kind of attitude of invitation, rather than kind of a really firm set instruction, and maybe adapting the movement, creating a little bit more space for yourself where you don't feel it suits you, and the same thing applies to the rest practice and breath practices. So if any breath guidance that I'm offering doesn't feel comfortable to you in any way, then feel free to adjust, maybe just come back to a natural flowing breath, and if I'm offering you a rest practice that isn't serving you, please come into a space that feels more comfortable and nourishing, because the most important thing is that the practice is pain-free and comfortable and nourishing. So just prioritising a little bit of self-care in that, because I can't see you and I can't offer you kind of variations and varieties in practice. So those are the two most important rules, and then just a couple of things to help make your practice a little bit more comfortable as we're moving and resting. So first of all, a mat would be a great place to start. There are very few things that we really need. Some things are just kind of extras, but a mat would be really recommended if you can, mainly because it offers you a little bit more grip, makes your practice a little bit safer, your body's not sliding around. If you do choose to do it on a rug, making sure that your body is not sliding around, so that it has kind of enough grip and enough support for you to have a safe practice. I also would say having a blanket is a really nice thing to have in terms of kind of essentials. And it doesn't need to be a fancy blanket, just something from your sofa is perfectly good. And it's really just to give you two things. One is comfort, so ability to support your joints, to cushion your joints, like for example when we are on our hands and knees, and also maybe to support your head if we're laying on our back and your head, if your chin is poking up, just a little bit of cushioning underneath there. If we're laying on our side, maybe something under your head. So a blanket is really versatile. And then the second function of the blanket is warmth. So when we're doing some of the resting practices, the body temperature will drop. So just making sure you have a little bit of something where you can kind of pull over yourself so your body feels comfortable and comfortable and cozy. And I usually have a couple of layers with me when I practice. I usually start in a jumper just to make sure I am warm. I have a top underneath and a sports top underneath that. So I have as many layers as I want to keep myself warm, or when I'm feeling a little cooler, and take them off when I'm feeling a little bit warmer, and that gives my practice kind of comfort and variety depending on what I need. So really those three things are the kind of essential bits: your mat, your blanket, and a couple of layers. If you wanted to create a little bit kind of more comfort and coziness and a little bit more kind of nourishing space for your practice, you're also welcome to have a cushion. And again, you can kind of use it in the same way You might use a blanket underneath your head. You can put it between your knees when we're resting. There are kind of lots of spaces where a cushion becomes really, really cozy. You can place it under your knees. You can also use blocks. If you have blocks at home, you're very welcome to do that. And blocks just give us height variety. So maybe just placing your hand on the block so that you're not having to reach for the floor so much. Maybe even when we're in child's pose, placing the block underneath your forehead so you don't have to bend forward quite so much. Maybe even giving ourselves a little bit of height when we're twisting so you don't have to reach all the way down for the floor. All of those sorts of things. So a block is a handy thing to have, but not essential, because I will give you opportunity and variety to have be able to access those poses with no equipment at all. And then the final thing, which is definitely a little bit of a luxury, and very few of us have these at home, but if you do, very welcome to bring this to your practice, and that's a bolster. And a bolster can be a really, really kind of lovely and luxurious touch to making your practice really nourishing and really cozy. You can place it under your knees, really helps to support your back a little bit. You can place it under your back for a little bit of opening. We can lay our front body on it, we can lay our side body on it. There are so many lovely things you can do with a bolster. But again, as I said, not essential, and I will always assume that you don't have one. But you are very welcome to bring your bolster to your practice if you'd like to. And then just taking a moment to pay attention to your environment. I think the setup in your environment can be a really healthy way to kind of like enter the space, where as soon as you enter that space and you're starting to set up that space for yourself, you automatically kind of start to come into your practice, and it just makes your practice a little bit sweeter. So maybe thinking about the lighting in the room, like always have a gentle light on, maybe thinking about the smells in the room, maybe even a little bit of essential oil to make the practice a little bit balmier, maybe thinking about kind of smells that you like. And also thinking about the furniture in the room and what you might be able to use if you don't have all the extra bits of equipment. So maybe putting your legs up on the sofa when we want a gentle inversion, or a chair if you don't have a sofa nearby. Maybe throwing your legs up against the wall for a gentle supported inversion. So all of those things can make your practice just a little bit more whole, a little bit more complete. But as I said, the only thing you really, really need is your mat, a blanket, and a couple of layers to make your practice more comfortable. I hope that's been a little helpful, a little informative. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. You know where to find me. And yeah, I look forward to practicing with you. Have a great day.